I'll go over and get us going on. Gather. So people on ACIM Gather can hear us. And here we are, zooming away. And I'll put my camera on over and get us going on. Gather. There we go. So people on ACIM Gather can hear us. And here we are, zooming away. I'm not sure how I'm hearing myself again because, and I'll put my camera on and get us going on. All right. Because I do have that muted. Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Saturday morning live on ACIM Gather. And we're here to study A Course in Miracles. And Iris Allen is our inspiration for our group. And Iris, would you like to pray us in, please?
Yes. Good morning, Lynn, and good morning, all. And I will pray us in. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen.
Amen.
So I'm going to go and find our reading, because we're reading A Course in Miracles. Thank you so much, Iris, for praying us in, and thank you everyone who's being here with us today. We have been having a pretty good time reading the course, and let me see where we are. Did we finish Atonement and Miracles?
Hi, Lynn. Luckily, last week I made a note. So,
Okay.
I put a star next to where we finished. So we will start on paragraph 7. So we finished all of 6. And I put a star next to paragraph 7, and it's Atonement and Miracles.
Very good. All right. So yeah, let me see here. Get me back. And who would like to read paragraph 7?
I'm happy to read, Lynn.
Please do.
Excuse me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, okay, here it goes. Miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. By being united, this mind goes out to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the atonement itself is one, uniting all creations with their creator. As an expression of what you truly are, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. The mind then naturally becomes the host within and the stranger without. The mind then naturally welcomes the host within and the stranger without. When you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother. Do you want me to read more?
No, I just comment on what you've just read if you have any comments. And if not, anyone else who has any comments or explanation or thoughts about this?
No, that sentence I read twice, I didn't take correctly when I read it the first time, and then I read it again. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. The mind naturally welcomes the host within, and then we also welcome every brother in. Well,
Yeah.
Iris has her hand up. Go ahead, Iris.
Thank you, Lynn. I might actually just read it very quickly again, the paragraph, and just to remind my own self. And it says, miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. By being united, this mind goes out to only one person, no, to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the atonement itself is one, uniting all creations with their creator, uniting all creations with their creator. As an expression of what you truly are, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. The mind then naturally welcomes the host within and the stranger without. When you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother. And when I listen to this, and it just reminds me that it's referring to all brothers, not just one brother or like special relationship brother. And and the reason I bring this up is because for example, I know very well, and it's that I have a special relationship, for example, with my mom, and with my mom. And
Whoops, looks like we lost Iris.
yeah.
Okay, hopefully she'll be right back. Dove, why don't you go ahead, and then if Iris back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like the way it opens up here. First paragraph, first sentence is, miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. And that brings to mind what I came up with a couple of days ago, and I've been posting all over the place. Lucid dreaming is when you recognize that everything that happens, you have asked for and you received exactly as you have asked. So what this does is it puts you as the dreamer of the dream. That's how you are mind ready or miracle ready minded. You're ready because you're not at the effect. You're not living in fear. You're not a victim. You see that everything is happening perfectly according to what it is that your life's lesson is, and you smile at it. And you're smiling. You're not taking it seriously. When you're not taking it seriously, you're miracle minded ready. That's it.
Right. That's what makes you be of one mind. As it says in chapter 2, be of one mind is the condition for miracle readiness.
Yeah.
So being of one mind is being the mind that's ready for the miracle, and being united. This mind goes out to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. So, just knowing that being of one mind, you actually are connecting with everyone.
Yeah. I was going to say, smiling and seeing it differently is the miracle already. You're already in a state of peace, and safety, you know, and when he says, you know, that I think it's the same section, spirit is always in grace. So he uses the word grace over here. He says, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. So we are spirit, we're always in a state of grace. But here you recognize it. Here you recognize it. And that word recognize has the word COG in the middle. So see, to cogitate or to know is to recognize the truth. And that brings up that line from the Course that says, enlightenment is not a change, it's a recognition of what already is. So we're already in a state of grace, but living in some kind of a feeling of being a victim or a defect. You're still in the emotion called fear, and then fear is just a belief in separation. But when you recognize that you're doing this to yourself and you're already smiling at it, there is no separation. You're already one with all.
Thank you, Dove. Yeah, yeah. And that smile is what is the clue.
Yeah.
Karen has her hand up, and then Cindy after that.
Thank you, Dove. That was beautiful. And just going to kind of piggyback off of what you said, because I was basically going to say something similar, that for me to be ready is for me to be ready to change my mind, you know, to be ready to see things differently, you know, because sometimes I'm not always ready. Sometimes I'm still believing the story, you know. And today was one of those days. Today was one of those days. And it took a lot for me to change my mind about certain things. And it is, for me, it's a willingness, which for you know, from AA, they used to say, you know, you get sick and tired of being sick. And today I got a little sick and tired of being sick, and I just said sick mind, you know. I decided to change my mind and see things differently. And then there is that laughter. I'm able to laugh at the silliness of wanting things to be different. I wanted things to be different. That was the problem, that I was separate from my creator. I was separate because I wanted things to be different. So it's always a beautiful willingness to see things differently, to accept all things exactly as they are. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And thank you for changing your mind. Thank you for being a miracle worker. That has affected me as well as everyone else in the world. Everyone else who ever was is affected by that decision. This is the ripple effect that is ongoing continuously. It is, you know, what a gift. Cindy, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
I think I lost sound. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can barely hear you guys. So I'm just going to pass and figure out my my audio.
No, your sound is good here. So you may not be able to hear you, but I do. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this paragraph? And hopefully Iris will be back soon. Oh, there she is. Iris, do you want to continue with what you were saying? You were talking about your mom.
Oh, my mom. Oh, yeah, I don't know like where I dropped off, but I was just saying that that when I opened that part in the Course, it says that we are to the dream role section, like about special relationships, and I was just saying that I know it sounds like, in a conventional sense, it just sounds so strange, like that we are to see all brothers equally. It doesn't matter whether it's my mom or the person on the street. One is not more important or more special or less special than the other. Like they are all the same. And that was basically what I was wanting to share, that like that we are to see all brothers equally, and no one is different. And yeah, that was like the main. And to the conventional sense, like the conventional way of thinking of the society, it's like, oh no, mom is more important than the rest of the people on the street. And there is like a hierarchy, but in our way of seeing with the Holy Spirit, each brother is the same, like each brother is equal. And in fact, it is all the same, it is all one. um yeah, so I'll just pause there and hand back to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Iris. And yes, that each one is the same is the only important thing to remember about all of that. We are the same. So when you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother, and that means everyone. Regis, please go ahead.
I was almost about to back out of what I was going to say.
No backsies.
That's why I took my hand down. But I was like, maybe Lynn didn't see my hand. I hope she did. But what's really standing out to me, and it stood out in this past week a lot for some reason, is in part of the first of the second sentence. It says, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. And then it says the impersonal nature of miracles is because of the atonement itself is one. I think the impersonal nature of the of miracles is something that we really need to speak to ourselves and hear, because the ego is always trying to make us think there's these hoops to jump through, and whatever they may be for you, they different for everybody. But we think there's these prerequisites that don't really exist. And so I looked up the word impersonal, and it says not influenced by, showing, or involving personal feelings. And then the sentence before that, as it was talking about without even your awareness, it's the first instance I had, someone gave me a gift card, and I asked, what did I do to deserve this? And, well, you just been so awesome, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, and I didn't say anything else, but in my mind I'm thinking, in what way, what did I do that was so different from everybody else? And then later this week, this lady, we was out in this, I was just speaking and smiling, as Dove say, we just smile. And this lady, we had interacted, she left, and then she came back and she handed me a folded $20 bill. And, I just said, thank you, I appreciate it, and let her go. And so these moments, that when the mind is ready, and to me, Gloria is in my head, because she just talks about it so much, and no matter what she's talking about, she circled back around to it, about it. It's just, it's all there is love. And when the mind is ready for that, that's all there is, and that's all. In every person becomes your brother. It is not about you trying to own purpose. We talk a lot about intention, and sometimes we get into efforting when we talk about intentions, but it's just the mind is there, the heart, the love, the oneness, and without words, without trying to have something clever to say or spiritual to say, the love does it all. the oneness does it all. And you will see these manifestation and these reactions. And there was another guy this week, and we had a brief conversation. He was from out of town. We just saw each other, and he was telling his friend about me after he was leaving. Oh yeah, that guy there. And then he circled back around and came back and shook my hand. And it's like, what? Well, you know, what is, so it's really just that open, willing mind. But what I saw as we was talking about the host and the stranger, I think for me, the first stranger is the host from within in the personality of Regis. You know, when I welcome that I think is me, and I forgive all that I think is me. And I used to say so many times back in Festive Friday days, when we let ourselves off the hook, we begin to let everybody else off the hook. So I think it's that, and just like Karen was saying, when she got out of resisting whatever her state is into accepting her state, then everything else unravel. And so that's just the way it works. I don't want myself to be too quick to make it external. What this paragraph is saying is external, is about me. But when the host in me, when the Christ in me, when the willingness within me, the truth of who I am, accept this stranger that I think is me, whether this is this man in this black skin that's supposed to be in opposition to people of other color skins and all of this kind of stuff. When all of that, when I accept that person in the oneness, in the truth of who I am, and then it just extends out. And so that's kind of what I was getting from this. And I see other hands up, and I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you for that, Regis. And yeah, you think about, what are the things that we make differences between us, and when you recognize that little babies, infants, little children don't even notice that at all, because they don't have an understanding. They don't know what they look like. They don't know. They just think everybody looks like them, and they don't know any different. And so it's only when they get told, oh, here's something different here, that they begin to make those differences important and necessary. And it really is, as we mature in the world, we become less mature in our spiritual mind, because we start making differences between people. And turning people into strangers. Sharonda, then Karen, then Iris. Let's see, Sharonda, then Karen, then Iris, then Dove. Sharonda, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments in this discussion today. There was a comment made in the group before this one with Bruce, and someone said, I could see peace instead of this. And I'm like, bing, 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 bing. Because I've been in a situation where I've been unloving and judging my brother from my perception of unlovingness. And it's like, oh yeah, there's that early lesson. I could be seeing peace instead of this. And I'm getting together with a friend from Zoom Course in Miracles meetings. And we've only, after this class, I'm going to go meet her. And we've only met once, but we both really enjoy each other. And I've had the thought, am I making a special relationship? So here I am running off to meet, someone for some meaningful discussion. And I enjoy her so much. And yet there's people much closer that I'm judging and not being willing to have whatever, to not show up more loving and without the judgment. It's so interesting. And what Regis was just saying is so key. And I know that it's like, I'm not seeing myself as I am. I'm not knowing myself. I'm seeing my brother as a body with all these behaviors that I keep putting upon him or her. And what a mess. I often think it would be, this is a lie, but I often think it'd be easier to just have no thoughts as a way to cancel out all this crap, all this crap going on in my lower mental unloving nature. And it's like, well, that's not true. A decision needs to be made whether I choose to bless, and I can bless people, but I still have the other stuff going on. So I'm in a process like, I'm losing my train of thought. Or when I'm going into judgmental thoughts, to stop it, to forgive my belief, to be willing to see differently. I could see peace differently than this. Either way, if I'm in the process of noticing my unloving thoughts, being willing to forgive and see love, or if I make a decision to practice being still, quiet, peace, be still. I've been told that being still, being present, that is a forgiveness process. If I'm truly present, there's no thought of the past. There's no projection or thought planning about the future. There's only me in the present. And not me, Sharonda, this personality, me, who I am in truth. And that's where I can begin to experience more of my God self and myself in God. And so either way, it takes a profound decision. And thanks for this discussion.
Thank you, Sharonda. And yes, it is a choice. And you think about all the things that we think are differences. It's something somebody told us. It wasn't something that we came up and decided ourselves. So you can always choose again. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Regis. Thank you, Sharonda. I love what you shared too. I could see peace instead of this. That's one of my favorite go-tos. And that is a miracle when I do choose it. When I say to myself, I could choose peace instead of this, and choosing peace is the miracle. My profile picture, it's just what Regis shared about love, that's everything right there, because my profile picture comes from the third miracle principle, and it says miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. So it's always that. It's always when I'm coming from a place of love, that's when the true nature of who I am shows up. It's always the fear, it's always the resistance that keeps me away from a miracle. And that's everything. It's either love or I call for love. And that's the miracle for me, being able to truly see that, and when I see something that seems upsetting to me, or I don't like what's happening, or I wish it will be different, when I say to myself, not only I could see peace instead of this, but this is just a call for love. It's love or I call for love. It's all perfect. There's nothing wrong here, and that's peace for me. And I love what you also shared about being still, Sharonda, because it's when I can be still and step back and be still and be quiet. That just is the perfect thing. It just solves everything for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Iris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, everyone. And I just remembered, when Regis was sharing, because I listened to some recordings recently, and one of the things I remembered was which I forgot, but I remember it now again, is in short, it's like dropping the quote judgment that this shouldn't be this way, with our own self, our own feelings, and because the first obstruction is this shouldn't be this way, my feelings of dis-ease or whatever it is should not be this way. So that is the first obstruction. So just accepting ourselves, whatever is happening, it will also pass. So if there's a feeling of sad, that sadness will pass. If there's a feeling of joy, that joy will pass. If there's a feeling of distress, that distress will pass. Like just accepting ourselves and accepting our feelings. And no feeling is better or worse than the other feeling. They are all the same, equally untrue. And I completely forget that. And I think it's really good to remind myself. And like there was something else, but I completely forgot what that was. And but it's kind of like a total acceptance of like all the feelings. Like one feeling is not better or worse than the other, and this too is temporary, it will pass. And so and yeah, and I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you, Iris. Yeah, the whole idea of things should be different. Man, is that the trap, isn't it? Please, Dove, go ahead.
All right, it sounds like ka-ching, 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 bingo all over the place. Yeah, thanks, Regis, for starting us off on this. And when Regis was talking about, well, you know, I think everyone should be looking like me. It came to me, yeah, I have this thought that everyone should be thinking like me, right? You know, why don't you have my level of thought? You know, like seeing peace instead of anger. You know, why are you so upset? Well, guess what? This is something that came to me just yesterday, and actually I sent it to Karen, and Karen thought it was great, and she sent it out to some people. I'll just post it over here on the chat. And it says, you know, the world is a Halloween party, and we all come in costume saying, guess who I am? Yeah, so it's not only the costume, but when you're talking to the guy who's a clown and you think he's a jerk, it's the same thing. Yeah. Well, you know, well, he is a clown and he is a jerk. Why is he a jerk? Because he doesn't think the same way that you do. It's all about believing in form. Thought is form, body is a form. And yeah, when you're wearing your costume and your costume says, well, I'm a Course in Miracles student teacher. And how come you don't think like I do? It's the same thing. You got to laugh. You simply got really, the world is a Halloween party. And it was Ram Dass that says, we're all God in drag. And that is the truth. We're all God in drag. Thanks.
Thank you, Dove. Yeah, I just mentioned that to Bruce in our last session too, about the Halloween party, and we all come saying, guess who I am? But guess what? We're the ones who made them that. And, you know, I'm the one who decided to have a circus and make you a clown. You know, that's
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
clown is, I mean, somebody else's saint. Other people are looking at my clown and saying, wait, that's not a clown, that's a holy man. It's because they're the ones who's making it up. We're the ones making it up.
Exactly. I asked you to show up this particular way so I can learn the lesson that we're all the same.
Right. Exactly. And that, I believe, exactly is what this is saying. When your mind is ready for miracles, your mind goes out to everyone. You may not even recognize it, but it's impersonal. It doesn't have, there's nothing personal about it because there are no persons. So when there's no person, there can be nothing personal. And if you are impersonal, as many of us who have read and studied The Impersonal Life by Joseph Benner, you know, that's really what it's talking about, is recognizing I'm not the person. And you are not the person. The clown is not the person. Nobody is the person. Once you recognize that, then you are in a state of grace. And in that state of grace, then naturally, the Holy Spirit, the host within, is welcomed, and the stranger becomes a friend. And I'm grateful for my clown friends as I'm grateful for my saint friends. And you couldn't have a circus without the clowns. Although, yeah, but anyway,
I,
go on.
I just want to jump back in. That's, Regina talks about the fool on the hill. That's exactly what it is. You see these people that seem to be fools, but you ask them to be here as a fool. They are not fools. They are you. And you find all of this in Dream Roles, chapter 29, section 4. No one in this world could do anything to you or against you or look like a fool or a clown, other than the role that you assign to them so that you can learn the lesson you came here for.
Yes. And thank you for playing your part.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for playing your part. Iris, please go ahead.
Yeah, at the moment I feel really happy, like to like something, a tube light is going on, like really slowly, but it's still going on. And like I just was thinking about it actually, and I was talking to like a couple of my work colleagues about this thing, and we were having a quote, not really talking about work, but a quote high level discussion, as one of my colleagues said. And it was like the same thing that we were just considering, like, isn't it like really strange and weird and just completely strange that we would come here and then like all of a sudden we would no longer be here, like we would completely disappear, like our body would just, is so temporary, like it's here and then it would just not be here. And it just doesn't make any logical sense that God would create temporary. It just doesn't make any kind of logical sense at all, like that one moment I'm here, Iris, and then next moment I'm not here. But what is aware of the body? And it just, if I think about it like that, it just kind of, it does make a lot of sense. Like, why would God make a temporary thing? Why would he do that? Like, it just makes sense, and it just sounds really strange. And yeah, and then we just parked the discussion. We just parked our conversation, and I guess we'll pick it up at a different time. But we just thought like we'll leave it there for now, and I'll hand back to Lynn.
Oh, that's lovely, 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 and what a great conversation to have with a coworker. Because you say you parked the conversation, but you didn't. You're still having the conversation because we're here, and because we are the same. Then all of us are a part of the conversation, and that connectedness that we have is so compelling once you begin to recognize that connection that we have, that what we are doing is, as this says, impacting the entire sonship. Everyone is aware of this conversation. Everyone is a part of this conversation. Everyone is learning from this conversation, and everyone is remembering from this conversation. And this is why this is important. It's it's great to meditate and contemplate on your own, but the conversation is where the connection comes through, that brings us to the point where we recognize our oneness. And that's the essential part of all of it, is the recognition of the oneness that we are, the being that we are. So let's move on to the next paragraph, paragraph 8. And this again is really exciting stuff. Who would like to read paragraph 8?
I will, Lynn.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, 8. That the miracle may have effects on your brother that you may not recognize is not your concern. The miracle will always bless you. Miracles you are not asked to perform have not lost their value. They are still expressions of your own state of grace. But the action aspect of the miracle should be controlled by me because of my complete awareness of the whole plan. The impersonal nature of miracle mindedness ensures your grace, but only I am in a position to know where they can be bestowed. Wow. Yeah, you can read these things over and over and think it's the first time. It's funny because, unconsciously, I wanted to be a holy ego. That's just part of the spiritual ego's way of showing up. So I'd be concerned, I'd try to just know if they were, because when our transmission changes or when sight comes in, we do have a different vibration. But if I'm concerned about someone outside of me, then I'm still in the ego because there's nothing outside of me. So the concern is about the ego trying to get my attention away from the now, because that's all there is. There's nothing here but the now. And when the Course talks about the recognition, it's not talking about anything but the awareness of love's presence. And that is just a reflection of heaven. So, the book promises everything that it's promised has been true for me in my experience. Not all along. No, there was so much frustration, so much, resistance, I guess. Now, I had when I had been resisted to the Course, I'd pick up something else that was easier for me to read. And that helped me too, because rather than for me to react, and say, I can't get this, that's just the ego. And I know that we are the grace. That is all we are, but it's everything. It's the grace made this seeming dream. So all brothers are one brother. So if I'm concerned whether my brother got my transmission and now they're going to be healed, which I have seen with spiritual teachers, they have, I had one that, friend of mine had cancer and she said, because she considered herself fully awake, she tried to wake her up, and just because of the transmission. And I personally just knew that she was coming from a nice place, but it still seemed to me like it was a little egoic because there's just one of us here. And we can heal our mind and the vibration can help our brother, but it can never be the motive. To me, this process, Dorian had shared that with me about being the student, and that is my new thing. Like, yes, I'm the student and the teacher, but if I'm always the student, I'm always learning, and there's no finish line. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon, for that, because it also, the idea of the differences, and even to say or to think, I am awake and you are not, is a real indication that I am not awake at all. That I have something that you don't have. That's a real indication that I am not clear on what I am and what you are. Because if you actually recognize that we are the same, then you couldn't make comparisons and differences. So, if we look at each other and see that, you have a long way to go, or there's something you need to learn, or there's some, I'm not even in my own business at all. I'm in your business and I'm in God's business, and it has nothing to do with me at all. So it's not my concern. The miracle is for me, to bless me. Says that the miracle will always bless you. Miracles are not asked to perform. You are not asked to perform, have not lost their value. They're still expressions of your own state of grace. But the action aspect of the miracle should be controlled by me, Jesus, who's talking to us here, because of my complete awareness of the whole plan. It's clear I don't know the plan. So how in the holy heck could I be saying I'm going to heal you. I'm going to cure you. I'm going to awaken you. That's like the height of arrogance. And, that's of the ego. And if you have a teacher who says anything like that, run away as fast as you can. No, really, just love them. Just love them. You don't have to run away. You just have to love them and know that, they're where they are and you're where you are, and we're all in the perfect place right now. Glorian, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lynn. And you're right. We bless them, and then we just continue to work with our own mind and asking to see it differently for true perception to be restored. Yesterday you came up, and also you just mentioned it now, about specialness and the idea of comparison. And I didn't have this on hand yesterday, but I did a deep dive on this with Mark and his group one time. And we were talking about specialness being that block to love, being the fear that's actually the block to love. And of course, the specialness is the ego, but it comes in many flavors. And I jotted some down. And the first one, comparisons, that's making us different, making us special. Idols, separateness, judgment, attack, defense, attachments, bargains, compromise, belief in the body, which is body identification, the grievances, sin and guilt. So, it sneaks in so many different ways that we're not even aware of it. But I actually felt that was really a good thing for me to do, is to look at those different, as Amy always says, the different flavors or the different manifestations of the guilt that we feel. And when we were talking about that yesterday too, about the projection of guilt, and how, this is really the blocks to love's presence. And Ken had said in his book at the end that we want to get rid of as much guilt as possible. But really what that's saying, the guilt is listening to that fearful voice of the ego. And that's what we're projecting, the false misinterpretation that we still are perceiving. So I agree with that we want to really dig deep, get rid of the way it sneaks in specialness and however else it manifests, so that we stop that projection. And then we can move more readily into the miracle, which is the experience of love from out of time, where we're experiencing ourselves as beingness, isness, oneness. So that's what we project, and that's how we extend creation. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Glorian. And yeah, all those reminders are just right on. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gloria. And that was beautiful. I loved what you shared about the guilt, because for me, that's really the bottom line. That's the process of forgiveness, is looking. The first step in forgiveness is looking, and guilt stems from the belief that we separated from God. So every belief that we have, that's where our decisions come from. So we believe, if I believe I'm separate from God, I'm deciding already that I'm not good enough. I'm already deciding that, things should be different. And it's looking at those different flavors, as Amy does say, which I do love. That's the only way I'm gonna heal them, is by looking at them. And anger is one of my biggest ones that I've had for a long time, that I've been looking at. And it's learning that it's in connection with some of the pain that I'm experiencing. So that's something that stems from a lot of trauma in my life. I've had a lot of trauma. A lot of physical trauma and mental trauma. And so I'm learning all this. I'm looking at all this, and yes, it's all an illusion. Yes, it's not real. But as long as I'm informed, these need to be looked at, healed, and released. So I notice, I look, and the ego will never look. The ego will never, ever look. So forgiveness for me is that looking, that gentle looking with the Holy Spirit. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I also wanted to share something, because this reminds me, that the miracle, the miracle on the state of grace. It also reminds me how there's no order of difficulty in miracles. The very first miracle principle, he talks about this in the state of grace in chapter 7. He says that by demonstrating to yourself there is no order of difficulty in miracles, you will convince yourself that in your natural state, there is no difficulty at all because it is a state of grace. So there's no order of difficulties. There's no levels of spirits. It's just, it is. God is. Love is. And when we can just be like, Sharonda was sharing, like, be still, just be still and let all things be exactly as they are. Like today, after I did allow things to just calm down in my mind, it was like being that eye in the hurricane, that eye that, and I've heard Kenneth Wapnick explain this, because it's like when you're at that perfect peace, no matter what's going on around you, you are like the eye in the center of a hurricane. No matter what's happening, you are that perfect peace, that stillness. And that's what happened today, because I made a choice. I decided I chose the miracle instead. I chose to see peace instead of the insanity. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. Excuse me. That I can see peace instead of this. That absolutely, there's a lot of times I say, no, I don't want to see peace. I really want to argue. I really want to be mad. These are all the, all that fear that just keeps coming up and coming up. And I saw a thing yesterday on TikTok. I watch a lot of TikTok. And people say, well, that's for kids. Well, no, it's not. It's really pretty profound. A lot of stuff I see on there. Dove's on TikTok. But this woman was saying, it was like a thing someone was saying about aggressive, women being angry or aggressive. And she said, I don't see that. When I see something like that, what I see is a person in despair. And the interviewer was like, despair? What do you mean? And she said, well, think about it. Why else would anybody act out like that unless they were just in some deep despair and they couldn't connect in any other way? And that's so true. It's so like what Marshall Rosenberg teaches about in the nonviolent communication, that whenever we are seeing things that seem to be aggressive or angry or whatever, what we're really seeing is the fear, the despair, the inability to communicate, the inability to express or to process what seems to be happening to them. And so whenever I see someone who seems to be, acting out in a way that doesn't make me happy, doesn't make me feel good, I really have to look at where are they coming from, and recognize they're coming from a place where they are suffering from what Marshall calls a tragic loss of connection, that they really cannot connect because of whatever reason. And my job is not to condemn them for that or to lock them out because of that. My job is to make the connection and to be open to be the connection, which is what I love about the nonviolent communication, that, I can, actually, I can see peace instead of this. And I don't have to condemn or fear because I know that, no matter what happens, we're all the same. And what fear I see in another, I have to recognize it's in myself as well. I'm also that fearful person. And I have to look at what are my tragically unmet needs here and join with them in love instead of aggression or fear or condemnation. Iris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, I was just thinking of like those three things that we learned about in the previous one about like the control, the unmet needs, which are like control, approval, and safety. But at the same time, like when the specialness is happening, quote, the specialness, especially in my case, it's kind of like I have this tendency of thinking that it's all these other things, etc. But the solution is so simple. Like just now, when I just had like a tube light with the different things on specialness, which is attachment. Sorry about the noise. There's like the police cars or something, but like that's attachment or specialness, those different things, and those are the things that cause us distress. And it did occur to me like yesterday morning that like, because today I was reading like the dream roles, and it did occur to me that yeah, that is the human concept, quote, of love, which is like assign everyone a role, and so that I can feel safe, attach everyone a role, and then get upset when they're not playing the role that I've assigned to them. And unless they play the role that I've assigned to them, I'm not okay with that. And that is not love, that is bondage. And love is, allowing people to play the role that they want to play. Because I don't need anyone to play the role that I assign to them in order for me to be safe or approved of or control, or like it's quite like it's quite something to like notice that. And like, but most of the time with myself, at least, I forget and I don't even recognize this is what I'm doing, like, or I don't want to recognize it. That's more like, more like truth. Like, I don't want to recognize it, but it's only when, like, I have an open mind, I recognize the Christ in my brother, and, my brother is like the same as me. Like, so basically, I'm just trying to say that these teachings are so illuminating. And I really appreciate it. And I'll hand back over to Lynn.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, Iris. And yes, Dove has posted in the chat, specialness is not love. It's bondage. This is what you just said. And how clear that is. And yes, Iris, you are illuminating it. It's just such a joy to be with you and to experience you on Saturday mornings. And I'm always just so grateful that for your clarity and your wisdom. And I'm grateful for you for this group, because otherwise we would not be here today doing this if you hadn't have expressed the desire to have more connection, and we didn't have this lovely thing called Zoom. It's like, what a miracle. It's so wonderful. Well, we have one more paragraph here before the end of this section. And I know some of you have to go. I'm not going to try to hold people. Do we want to just start this next paragraph 9 next week so we can deep dive into it? I think maybe so. Because really, I don't want to leave a crumb. I am like the starting person.
Next week.
Next week. All right, you guys. Yeah, but I do not want to leave a crumb. I'm gonna be being interviewed this week on I'm not even sure exactly what it is. It's a program on Telegram. I think Dove was interviewed by the same person not that long ago, and I'm not sure how it even works. But he is in the not in the UK. He's in the
he's great. He's in the Netherlands, I think,
in the Netherlands. Yeah. So
or something like that.
anyway, so I'll what I'll do is I'll send out the information on an email so that anybody who wants to join or can figure out how to do it can come in. And the guy's name is Wanako Oberhuber.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Seems very sweet. So anyway, that's Monday, October 9th. So I'll send out a little blip about it. So if you want to join, you can. It would be lovely.
That's
And
awesome.
Yeah. Maybe he's from Belgium. I really don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. But and I haven't actually spoken to him, but I think he must have given him my name and or somebody did. And so we'll be talking and that'll be quite interesting. I think I'll go and try to find yours because I know you did one with him and take a listen and see what I'm looking into, what's going to happen.
That
All
sounds
right.
like fun. I can't wait.
I know, I know. It's Monday and it's like at noon Eastern time. So
Yeah.
it's gonna,
I just want to say he is a course person. So,
yeah. It's a Course in Miracles thing. So
I think he introduced my friend Shannon, that Shannon Williams. She works with Kate Grease. She helped Kate Grease with her recent books with the pictures and the stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can look up Shannon Williams if you want to look at her interview too. I'm pretty sure she's on there.
very cool. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I always enjoy doing little one-on-ones with people, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, I love you all.
Oh, thank you so
Love you
much.
too.
Love you all.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.
You
Thank
too.
you all.
Bye-bye, guys.
God bless.